How's it going, guys? Hayden here, and in this video we'll be talking about record labels, what you need to know about record labels, what you need to know before signing with a record label. Is a record label even for you? Do you want to be an independent artist? All that kind of stuff. So one thing that you got to realize, if you're even thinking about partnering up with a record label in the future, if it's like an aspiration of yours as an artist that you want to be with a record label, you have to realize that you will become a employee for the record label. Signing with a record label is not this gateway to heaven that now you're going to get all your dreams come true. It is simply a business exchange between you and the record label. The record label wants your skills, your talents, something that you have that has got to do with your music as an artist, and the record label has something that you want. And if both of those things align, then you sign with a record label. You don't sign with a record label if you think that they're gonna be your friends. It's kind of the same thing as when you sign a contract with a new company, when you get like a job offer or something like that. You don't think that they're gonna be your friends. You are going to be selling your time in exchange for money. The company wants you because of your skill sets, and you are going to be selling your time in order to give them that skill set, and you're going to get money in exchange. That's how jobs work. And the same goes when you sign with a record label. It really isn't that different. Just because it's in the creative industries and it has got to do with music, it doesn't mean that the principles of a business exchange between you guys change. So if you're okay with, knowing that you're going to be a kind of employee for the label for, whatever amount of time you want to work with them, then you are kind of good to go. Another thing you also got to know before signing with a record label is that you will have a schedule. It's, for example, similar when you get a new job offer. You get the job and you have some sort of schedule. You have certain tasks you have to hit within a certain time period. And the same goes for when you sign with a record label. You are going to have a schedule. You're going to have to, have a set amount of songs ready for by this date. You're going to have to attend a certain amount of meetings. You're going to have to get some sort of work done. So just because you sign with a record label, again, it doesn't mean that you can now just sit around. And with that, because you will have some sort of schedule, you will also have a supervisor or like a manager. So let's say you would sign with like a major record label. They probably have managers in there working for them, so they can assign managers to like new artists that sign with a record label. And this is kind of the same again when you get a job. You have some sort of supervisor that supervises if you're actually doing the work, or they can answer any kind of questions you have. They can help you out with anything, and they can just make sure that you have everything in order for you to get the work actually completed. And the same goes for music. When signing with a record label, you will have some sort of manager that will be overlooking your schedule, that will be checking up on if you're actually doing the work. They will be checking up on you if you're actually attending meetings, if you're cooperating, etc. This is the part where a lot of, artists and stuff like that have a hard time cooperating because, for example, they may have some sort of manager that they don't like, or they may just feel overwhelmed that they now actually have to, put in the same kind of work that you typically would have to do when, working at a normal job. And obviously, artists aren't made to be working in normal jobs. Artists are like rock stars. They don't want to be waking up at like 8 a.m., attending meetings and stuff like that. They just want to make cool music. But the thing is, with record labels, they work this way. So if you want to be with them, this is how they work. So with that being said, here are a couple of things to know if signing with a record label is actually for you. If as an artist you can accept that sometimes you're not going to have it your way, is the first point. So what this basically means is, let's say you are in a studio session, you have the time of your life and you make like the coolest song possible, and it's like about like a heartfelt topic to you, and you're genuinely really proud of this song and you're very confident in it, and if it was up to you, you'd release it instantly. But as an artist that is with a record label, if you can accept that sometimes you're not going to have it your way, what that means, let's say you finish that song, you send it to the label for them to, review it and stuff like that. And sometimes there will be a situation where somebody from the label that doesn't even know how to make music will tell you, look, this is cool, but this is not the vision we have for you as the artist we want to build. So we're going to have to make something else. And if you can approach that partnership with a, sense of like detachment from the situation, then being with a record label is for you. But if you cannot take that and you want to like stand your ground and be like, no, I'm releasing this, I don't care, then signing with the record label is not for you. Because there will be moments where not even, people in the record label, but people that work for the record labels, so like songwriters or producers, they might say that, hey, this kind of chorus is kind of cool, but we can make it better, and your songwriting isn't as good as ours. And if you can take that again with a sense of kind of emotional detachment from the situation, which I know is very hard for artists because music is kind of everything for them, then you can probably work with the record label. So like I said before, you will have some sort of schedule. If you generally can make meetings at like 9 a.m. and just generally work like a normal 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday, or even sometimes on the weekends. And there will be moments where you genuinely don't want to like make music on certain days, but you have a schedule, you will have to. If you can accept that it's kind of like working a normal job, then that's another point that signing with a record label is for you. But if you generally cannot really stick to a schedule and you don't want to work that way, then signing with a record label just might not be for you. And this is probably the most important parts. If you fully understand that this is a business exchange and not a friendship, just like I said in the beginning, the record label, just because they're in the creative industries and it's music, it's cool, it does not mean that they will be your friends. Of course, the people you're talking to, they're probably going to be very nice to you and, be helpful in order for you to, make the right decision, because they do want to work with you, but they want something from you as an artist. This is a business exchange and you want something from them as a record label. What they might want is, your songs that might be picking up traction and they have, bigger and better plans to market them or put you in like editorial playlists and stuff like that. And what they might have that you want is, for example, like connections to certain producers you want to work with, free studio time, better branding, better marketing, help with touring, all that kind of stuff. So if you can understand that this is a business exchange, not a partnership, and you can, take signing with a record label for the amount of time you're going to be with them with a sense of detachment, then you can probably work with them. But if you genuinely cannot do that, then you will just be having a very hard time mentally throughout this process. That's why we, hear so many stories of artists, getting maybe dropped by their label, or artists filing lawsuits with the label. And it all comes down to the points that I made here. And signing with the record label might be good for you if you genuinely just need help with production, songwriting, etc. So if you are in the point where a record label genuinely has interest to work with you, then you're probably doing something good already. However, talking from experience, I have ghostwritten over 900 songs for artists. So I understand that not everyone is like naturally talented, or whatever you want to call it, in regards to, making music and whatnot. And sometimes they just genuinely need some help with songwriting, or they're maybe very good with songwriting, but they just don't know how to actually produce music on the computer or play certain instruments. So if you need help with these kind of things and all the other points that I just made are good for you, then signing with a record label might be just for you. So yeah, guys, I hope this video helped you guys a little bit. If you guys want to join Soundmind, so our music business community where you can actually talk one-on-one with like record label owners, join a cool music business community, earn more money from music, start a music business, just connect and be in a cool music business community, then I will link Soundmind in the description down below and you can join it if you want. And if you're an artist and you want to get your music promoted the same way record labels do without signing any contracts or anything like that, then I will link Moshpit Media down below and you can use it if you want to. So yeah, that's been it for this video. Thank you.